Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this evening's XAUUSD Securities webinar. Now, tonight we're going to be going through live forex trading and live market analysis. That's going to be coming up in a moment. I'll just take you through what is coming up on the webinar front from myself this week. So actually tonight at 8 p.m, got the quick start webinar with Nathan. Myself and Nathan will be taking you through that quick start strategy. So if you want to move along to that webinar after this one, you're more than welcome. I have a link for that, which I can give you a little bit later. Tomorrow, I've got the trade setups, limit order, and support resistance zone webinar coming up. That's at 7 p.m. Sydney time tomorrow evening. And at 8 o'clock, I've got the Inner Circle webinar. And then coming up on Thursday, we've got more live market analysis. So you can register for all those webinars at the webinar page. So we'll get into tonight's webinar. Before we do, if you can read through the disclaimer. If you're on our YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to watch or just join us in the webinar so you can chat with me. I cannot see the chat though, as you're watching the stream. And for everybody else, if you have a question, just type it into the chat box or the question and answer box. Other than that, so if you can quickly just read through the disclaimer, that would be excellent before we move along. Or we'll move along, I think. Now, I can see maybe a couple of new names there, so welcome. My name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at XAUUSD Securities, and I am a full-time Forex trader. I've been trading the Forex market now for more than 15 years, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is there on screen, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can get my analysis at our website, acy.com, go to the Market News tab, or our YouTube channel, XAUUSD Securities Australia. And if you want to connect with me personally, my Twitter and LinkedIn handles are there. As well, through the week, we have analysis being put through our Telegram channel. If you'd like to get access to that, contact Nathan Bray. And if you want to get access to my chart layouts and templates, then simply contact Nathan too. He will organize anything and everything. If you need a demo account setting up, you've got questions about setting up a live account, just contact Nathan. His email's down on screen, but I'll put it in the chat momentarily. All right, just going in there now. And if you go into the next webinar, Nathan will be joining me. So I'll put the link in for the next webinar. Just before we conclude, we're going to finish this webinar around about 10:02, so I can get ready for the next one. All right, people are just a few more people dropping in. All right, so welcome everybody. Let's get going. Let's get into, first of all, the news announcements for the coming week and day. Hello to you, Azu. All right, so today's Wednesday. Well, I should say today's Tuesday, but there is no news for today. Coming into, though, the midnight into Wednesday. For some of you, it may still be Tuesday. We have a few not so heavy items coming from the US. But tomorrow, we have some red items coming out. So tomorrow, it is worth noting that from 5:15, Eurozone French, flash manufacturing and service PMI data for the German, flash manufacturing and flash service PMI data for the UK at 6:30. Again, manufacturing and flash services PMI data, and the US at 11:45, the same data. Okay, so those are the main data events coming out over the next 24 hours. We do have the Jackson Hole Symposium Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Fed and the head of the Eurozone will be talking as well from there. So who knows what they will be talking about. But they could certainly talk enough to make the market move. Market may be, well, Fed chair's talking at 5 minutes past 12 on Saturday. So the market will still be open at that point. So he'll have enough time to drive the market one way or the other. So the market may be looking to that at the end of the week. All right, let's get into the charts. We will start with the dollar index. And we're just at this little point in time. We don't really need these numbers on, but we're just holding at key area of 103.82 from the monthly chart. These double top area here, we're still holding underneath there. So the question is, the rally that we've been having this month, and we've had a month up from the previous month, is are we going to be holding there to move down, or are we going to be able to move up and beyond? All right, we have actually traded last week above the last weekly lower top, but that's really a double top maybe forming there unless we move up and through. So are we going to hold here? That's going to be the question this week and next week. All right, and I could draw a fib across this larger range here. There's a 79% level that we are holding at. The day chart here, though, is still in an uptrend in terms of high tops and bottoms. So are we maybe forming a double top here? 79% retracement of that range. So you're going to need to watch the 103.56 level, the 79% fib level, that resistance level from the monthly chart, 103.82, and just assess the dollar index. Are we going to be able to move above and through? Or are we going to hold there and move down? So if we hold there and move down, pairs to the US dollar are going to move up, or vice versa. If you move up and through, pairs to the US dollar are going to continue their decline that we've been seeing this month. Now the S&P 500 is looking a little bit toppy. Go to the weekly chart here. Of the last major sell-off and rundown, we're at the 79% level failing, potentially there maybe. Hard to tell at the moment if we are truly failing because the weekly trend here is up and this is just a corrective measure at the moment. But if we start to see a lower top forming on the weekly chart over the next month, that may be the starting point of a much more significant decline. We'll have to wait and see. At the moment, though, it is getting some form of support above this weekly top here, 142.33. So it's 43.23. And this day chart trend is in a downtrend. Now, a key level to watch, if we're going to hold this downtrend, is this level of resistance here, 44.60. And there was the fib across that range. So the 79% levels at 44.67, resistance at 44.60. If all we do is come up and hold there and then turn over, we'll put in another lower top. And that may give way to some more downtime on the S&P 500. All right, so, and if this moves down, potentially we may well see the US dollar index moving further up too. So we'll just have to wait and see what the next week brings in terms of the bigger picture of where the market's overall moving. All right, let's get into the euro dollar. And we've just been trading up a little bit today. Put out a Telegram today that we could hold at 109.12, and we're pretty much at that level right this minute. Yesterday, we came up to the broken level of day support. Held there yesterday. We have traded through just up to the next level at 109.29. This is in a downtrend on the daily still at the moment. Higher time frame weekly trend is just holding to the upside. If we break that low though, we are changing potential trend to the downside. So we're just holding the weekly trend up and that day trend is down. So the big question is this just a rally to hold at resistance here to continue the downtrend? And I put out on Telegram today, from high to low, that is the range of last week. Last week's high to low. We've rejected on the 4-hour chart the 62 level at 109.15. We're at just underneath the daily resistance level at 109.12 that we moved below last week. Kind of false breaking this 4-hour top here. And of course, we've touched the other daily resistance level at 109.29, a fraction short of the 79% level. So this could just be where we're putting in the high of the week to trade down. So it's worth monitoring today. Can we start to hold below 109.12? We're obviously below it at the moment. Do we start to move below 10900? All right, this structure in terms of the swing highs and lows on the 50-minute chart here is still potentially in an uptrend. If we break below here, this is certainly going to turn this into a downtrend on the 15-minute chart. So it's just barely holding its uptrend here intraday at the moment. But you can see this current candle's come back up to 109.12 and held. So are we starting to hold at 109.12 to trade down? I use these big swings. We're maybe just getting a trend line break there. What we may see through the day as well, if you want to try and get maybe a sell at a higher level, we may see a retracement of that range. Could come up to the 79% level, hold and fail to put in a 15-minute lower top area. So if we start to see a 15-minute lower top area start to form, we could be falling back down the range. So you can monitor that. All right. So we're definitely in an area where the market could top out. Maybe it could be topping out for the week's high. All right. Day chart trend is quite clearly down. So just don't get fooled by this run up today. We're still in a downtrend there on the daily. Euro yen is in an uptrend, had a very positive day up yesterday. Back above this is a weekly top here. So it's offered some form of support. 58.59 is a weekly level from back in time. If I squash the chart in, it's a low over here that we've moved above. So we are holding the uptrend here on the weekly chart, and on the day chart, another higher bottom coming in. Today, at the moment, we're just trading back inside some of the range of yesterday. We have actually put in a fresh high today. And if you wanted to look for a deep retracement, I will just look to the 4-hour chart, draw a fib across the range, back to the 15-minute. 62% levels here, 79% level overlaps with last month's high, which is just 5 pips above 158.800, and 157.99, which is the weekly support level. And I don't know if we can get down to that level, but that would be a great area to watch. 58.04 down to 157.99. I don't think we can get there, but you never know. We may well just stay at the central pivot point today to trade up. We may just see a trend line break to the upside here from the central pivot point. Very strong yesterday. You can see yesterday it got support, came above the weekly resistance level potentially to be support, and went up. So I'll certainly be watching down in that area this week if we can get there, but I don't know whether we can get that deep. All right, Euro pound. Now the Euro pound is a little bit difficult. I did say though last week that we could have been topping out up at the top here on the monthly chart within the range of last month up here. And we're forming some form of maybe head and shoulder pattern here on these weekly tops. And we traded down. Now, we have had quite a deep retracement. We've actually traded below this low over here, which is a monthly support level. We're below it. So is that now acting as resistance? It's 85.47 and day support here, 85.44. You can see the last 2 trading days we've been trying to get back above that level, but holding. So we might, and we've actually traded into that area today. We may be just holding there now to continue the move down. We've got weekly support at 85.18 and 85.04. And just looking at the 4-hour structure here is actually in a bit of an uptrend here at the moment, but any rally today has been capped at this daily resistance level here. So you can see here on the 15, came up, held to the central pivot point, fell down, retested at that level and held. So at the moment, see how we're having these swings, traded down, 79% retracement to your resistance level, failed. I will start to monitor the next swing. Do we come up to the 79% level? To continue today's progression down. All right. All right, let's get into the pound dollar. All right, today chart, we've come up. Very range bound at the moment. It is managing to hold above this weekly top over here. Weekly top to the weekly chart is that top just there. 126.79, got support there last week. We are having a week up, but when we get to the day chart, it's still consolidatory. I mean, we could just be having a week up to put in a lower top, but at the moment, the overall trend on the weekly chart is up. So I'm favoring that direction, but I don't want to be trading into resistance. And we're right at resistance at the moment on the day chart here. And we could simply trade down from this area right now, back down to weekly support. All right, it's rather range bound. So this area here, we rejected, fell down. We've been moving back up. Maybe we're just going to hold here one more time to trade back down. So this is a seller's level at the moment until we get a clear, strong close on the day chart above that level. That's just a seller's level to trade back down within the range. All right. So here's your 4-hour look. You can see all the 4-hour tops to the left. The range here, we're just holding on the 79 level. But if we can't hold at 127.74, that's 79% fib, we could see a drift back down the range. Doesn't like it up there, does it? At 127.97 up to 128.00. So very range bound. We're seeing a little bit of a breakdown in trend here. We just moved down just to a fractional lower point. You could monitor that little range there. Does it now come up for a final test of that resistance level today? Does it come up to the 79% level? Does it touch the resistance level one more time? And then turn over to trade down. All right. Quite clearly failing at the top of the range at the moment. Sellers are quite clearly defending the top of the range up there at the moment. Until we get a strong close above that level, we would have to maybe think that we're holding at the top of the range to trade back down. And we could be trading back down to your weekly support at 126.79. All right. Pound yen is in opposition though. This is very strong at the moment. There's your day chart. We broke above 184.00 last week. We've actually put in a higher bottom since then. Couldn't pull back to that level once we broke above it. So that's just telling you that you've got strength there in the market. And the next major level is at 188.80. I put this out on Telegram this morning. Strong trend. We're pulling back to the area that I put out on Telegram this morning. So on the 15-minute chart, the level I'm watching, well, we haven't quite got there yet. The level I'm watching is a central pivot point down to the figure 86.04 down at 186. Sorry, so it's 186.04 down to 186.00. Does the market come into this area hold? Can you see set up to trade up from that level? All right. That is worth noting. I mean, if we get a deeper pullback, that level doesn't hold. If we just start to trade down, it doesn't hold. I will watch the 4-hour range. Watch the 62 level or the 79% level. 79% level is down there at 185. 185.02 down in 185 would be a good level to watch if this level here doesn't hold. '62 level at 185.39 as well. That's where today's projected low comes in as well. So that would be a good area to watch too. But as I've said before, in a strong trend, when we're looking at pivot points, we often do not. Here we're dealing with a strong pair to the upside. If we're dealing with a strong pair to the upside when we're looking at pivot points on the 50-minute chart, price often does not spend too much time below the central pivot point. So we may just come down to the central pivot point, hold there today. So you're telling me you bought the pound all yesterday? Well, yeah, it could still break through the tops up there. So hopefully you got a nice profit. But I mean, just watch that range that we have there. If it doesn't want to break above the range, then when we're in a range, it can then trade back down to the bottom of the range. So maybe give it a little bit of room, but you know, if it doesn't want to move through, you maybe have to manage the trade. Leave that up to you to decide. All right. So you can watch that pound yen. It's just coming into an area of potential support. All right, let's hop over to the Aussie yen. Now the Aussie yen is a bit range bound. It is holding on top of this weekly level of support. You go to your weekly charts. That's why I'm calling it a weekly level of support. It's that weekly high just there, 93.03. And we're holding up at the top of the range at weekly resistance at 95.73. All right, now whilst we're holding on weekly support here, and I said on the weekend watch, for that maybe to hold, we still have a lower top to a lower bottom. So over time, we could gradually grind down through there if, this pair wants to. So it is a bit difficult at the moment. If we're just sticking to purely watching the day chart trend, then we're almost failing at 62% retracement in here. All right, and that range I've just drawn in is last week's trading range too. So it is worth, 94.06 is the 62 level. We've been up to approximately 9,400. So maybe 9,400 is capping the Aussie yen. So it is well worth now watching what goes on at 9,400 up to 94.06. That would be an area that I would watch for failure. Of course, we failed at the figure, but can we get to the 62 level? Just because we're bouncing on that weekly level support doesn't mean to say we're not going to move through it. What's going to dictate this moving down is going to be the Aussie dollar for sure, I would guess, because the Aussie dollar is very weak at the moment. So maybe we're failing up here, where you're seeing a setup. We've definitely got a lower top on the 50-minute chart to a lower bottom already. We've definitely got a trend line break as well. We've got a swing point break. So most immediate trend now, the 50-minute chart is down. So, make a decision. Do you want to trade to the downside from this area at the moment? But we may see another revisit a little bit higher up here, maybe. You could actually just watch a little 15-minute swing range here. You might get a nice little run back up for a little 79% sell at a higher level to trade down that range at the moment. All right, onto the Aussie dollar. We've got this double top. Double top price projection is down here at 62.91. The height of the pattern projected below. Now at the moment, getting some support on day support, 63.86, but we moved below this low, which was the yearly low at the moment, and monthly support. So we got a clear break below monthly support last week. I'm going to go to the monthly chart and have a look. Let's get rid of that fib so we can see price. There's the monthly low that we've broken below. So it actually was lower top, formed a higher bottom. Now we're forming a lower top to a lower bottom. So any of that uptrend that was been forming over the last 2 months has kind of got negated now. So it's been a difficult play at the moment on the Aussie, because I was getting maybe into the idea that we're going to start to move up. But now we're on a shift of the trend there. There's your weekly double top, trading down. It's getting a little bit overextended, but there's the monthly low we've broken below, 64.58. And does broken support become new resistance? That is the question over the next couple of trading days. We're obviously heading back up towards 64.58. Just want to put my fib back in for the target of that double top. Key level to watch at the moment is 64.58. Can we come up to that level? Do we hold? Can you see us set up to trade down from that level? That's what I'm watching at the moment. All right. There's not a massive trend up here at the moment. All right. Just worth watching up there at 64.50. Today, if we get up to there, we're going to be in the red area of the pivots. Okay, today's projected high is at 64.64, 64.58. It's only 6 pips above your monthly resistance. That would be the area to watch today for some weakness to come in. That might be where the high of the week comes in. All right, if we can get up there, it's worth watching that area today, tomorrow. All right, cover the euro pairs, the pound pairs, New Zealand yen. Very range bound, but we are making lower top, lower bottom. We are holding on this support area though. Are we just kind of grinding down Are we going to be able to hold this kind of minor day chart downtrend at the moment? We've had a 79% rally there, which is a 79% rally of last week's range. Often we can fail there and then trade down all week. So are we failing at the 79% level of the weekly range to trade down for, just a continuation? Here's last week's range. There's this week's rally. Are we moving down through 86.13 down to 85.20, which is weekly support in the area? That's what's happening? All right, so you can monitor that. Can you see a setup on the 50-minute chart that you like? Like the Aussie yen, it's turned into a lower top, lower bottom. You could be watching a little 15-minute fib rally to turn over and put in another lower top there, okay? Or whatever your setup is. New Zealand dollar. It broke through monthly support last week. So here's your monthly charts. This is maybe a lower top. Certainly have a lower bottom to the last bottom now. We have a kind of a triple top up here on the weekly, which is very similar to looking to the Aussie dollar triple top, double top area up there. It's not moved down as much though in terms of meeting the target yet. Target's down here at 55.85 for the double top. But a clear break below monthly support last week. Last week, 2 days came back up to reject that area. So I put it out today that I was watching the price to maybe come back up to that level, hold to trade down. Very similar to the Aussie dollar, all right? The broken monthly support, can it be resistance? So that's the same call on the Aussie dollar and the New Zealand dollar there at the moment. All right, so just watching to see if we can come up to that level. Dollar Canadian. Now, I did discuss this imbalance last week. Would it get filled? This perfectly came up to that level. Now, from the weekly chart perspective, there's a range here that we're coming up. There's a 79% fib there. There is a monthly range across that range, and there's a 62% level there. So if I just go to the monthly chart, that range from lower top to lower bottom, 62% retracement, 62% there, 79% in the similar area. Might use that larger range because that 62% overlaps perfectly. All right, so we had a price imbalance fill. Holding at that day resistance there, 135.67. Now it is an uptrend still. It's just in an area where it could top. All right. Day chart though came down yesterday, held on now day support, 135.01, and came all the way back up. So it isn't giving you a clue yet that we are failing there. It's just worth watching to see if we fail at this level. At the moment, the trend's still up. For our trend, it's a bit more mixed. We've got kind of equal lows here and maybe a lower top forming here. So are we topping out? So I'd just be watching this 4-hour chart at the moment. If we further come up here, put a 4-hour rejection candle in at this level and trade down, or maybe that's giving you a clear signal that we just don't want to move above that level. If you can get a tight entry up there, maybe we are at the level where the market's coming in to sell down from. All right. So it's just an area worth watching. Do you start to see anything form on any further test up there at the moment? Now, the thing that's, go back to the day chart, the thing that would be probably the first clue that we're maybe having a shifted trend here, if that's what occurs, is support gets withdrawn at 135.01 because clearly it was there yesterday. So, any downside movement, we'll have to see a break of 135.01 convincingly. All right, and we're not having that at the moment because yesterday we just came down and found support. So I don't think it's in the best area for a buyer at the moment because It's quite high up in that range where it could potentially fail. So I'll just be monitoring this at the moment for a potential failure. All right, dollar franc. If you go to your weekly charts, we are at this level of weekly support that got broke. When the weekly trend is down, it's been coming up, filling this imbalance here that got created. Hasn't fully filled it yet, so is there still more upside potential? Day trend is going rather sideways. It's actually sitting on top of what is now monthly support, 87.57. Monthly charts, that low is this one just here. Sitting on top of that now. So we broke below it. Now it's moving back to being support at the moment. So that's that level there. So at the moment, we could just consolidate through this period and want to hold it at 87.57 for support and maybe hold at weekly resistance here. Still this imbalance to the left. Really started it's right about there. All right. So there's a little bit of an area there where we could still want to maybe pop up and move into 4 hour. And on the 4 hour there, you can see the 4 hour imbalance here. And the 4 hour imbalance to the left there has been filled. So really the imbalance is how I've got it. Just there. Are we popping up to that area now? Notably on the 4 hour chart, the trend is still up here. We've moved up to a higher top. We're having pull back to the 62. Are we getting some support here intraday to move up? We're moving back up the chart into a 50-minute uptrend here. We've broken above a swing point, went through entry on a swing point break last week. So the swing point break, the swing point break is here. For those that were with me last week, there's your swing point break. Stop would go below this low. Risk, even if you clicked in right now, is no more than 15 pips. Small risk for potential move up the chart to break above 88.20, your weekly resistance level. All right, so showed a very nice entry last week on the dollar yen when we did the webinar, and that moved up really nicely. So there is a swing point break entry there on the 15-minute chart. Are we moving back up the range? What's the euro dollar doing right this minute? All right, euro dollar is pushing down. So that last 50-minute candle I was discussing on was that one just there. See the top of the candle? Held at your day resistance to trade down. So now on that euro dollar, I will just be watching. Do we come back up to 109.12? All right. So dollar franc there. You might see just on a 15-minute fib, a deep pullback to a 79% level, making a little miniature head and shoulder pattern here, trade up as well. All right, dollar yen. Now last week, we go to the weekly chart here, we closed above that weekly top. Okay, so this is a clear uptrend on the weekly chart, closing above the weekly top. We are getting very high up here. Over here is when the market started to get intervention from the bodge. So we're actually coming up and filling any imbalance that got formed when the last intervention did come into play. So we're definitely in the intervention area on the chart, but we had a very positive day yesterday. Whilst this looks negative, half a day is still available for trading. We could finish very positive by the end of the day. So to the 4 hour chart, we're already just wanted to find out. That's last week's high up there. So, and that's last week's low just here. So within the range of last week, we've already pulled back to the 79% level. All right. And found support yesterday. So now it's worth monitoring this 4 hour range Haven't quite pulled back to the 62% level yet. Now, Adrian, you're seeing a potential for a sell on dollar yen. Well, at the moment, for me, I'm still seeing an uptrend. Let me just get rid of that fib for the moment. You know, the weekly trend is quite clearly up, and that day trend here is quite clearly up. If we break below this higher bottom that we've formed, and we move back below that top, I would have to say, yeah, we've got a potential of a downtrend. But I think it's, you know, you could maybe be suggestive that if we're having a day down today, we may form a lower top. But this candle, for me, is just, you know, this is a negative candle at the moment, but it might not be by the end of the day. You're saying minus sell if we can pull back to 146.20. Well, I mean, at the moment, the 4-hour trend for me is up. So I would be looking to the upside. I can see a nice pivot, 62% retracement just here. All right. You're saying 146.20. I mean, you could draw the fib the other way. If you thought this had topped out up here, we could be drawing a fib like so. You get 46.22 up there at the 79% fib level. So, I mean, yes, potentially it could come back up that way and turn over, but that's probably what you're looking at. But I mean, the weekly trend is up and the day trend is up. I know it's high up there, but I don't know if we're fair. Let's just go to my other charts and have a look at the MACD. What is that telling us anything about failure there? Day chart trend is up here. Weekly trend is up. Monthly is almost crossing back up. 4-hour. 4-hour hasn't crossed down. There was some divergence on the tops there, but we have turned back to an uptrend on the 4-hour. So I don't know if that's fully shouting out to me to sell. So let's just go to the 1-hour chart. I mean, you are saying to me you're going to be cautious. So, I mean, it could definitely turn over up there, but, you know, if we drew the fib the other way and we get support at 62% retracement, the safer trade would be the safer trade because it's just purely with the trend. All right, but I get what you're looking at there, but I mean, it is counter trend. So you can monitor that. All right, let's drop into gold. All right, so at the moment, this is what I was suggesting last week. We need to have a clear break below weekly supports. It becomes resistance, and it's not doing that at the moment. Now, we're still in a downtrend. So this weekly chart has put in the lower bottom here. We have that triple top on the top, lower top. Trend is down. We're just trading back up in the range of last week. So it's worth just monitoring at the moment the range of last week, which is there. We have just traded below it fractionally this week. So it's worth monitoring the 62 to 79% area, what happens in there. 1904 to 1909. Does the market stop there, turn around? Can you see set up to sell to trade down? Now, I do know that last week's high, which is here, all right, is just like almost the same price as the resistance level. This resistance level, I just want to know where that's coming from, is this old weekly top over here. So we could actually come back up to that level this week, 1916, 1917 area, and hold as well. All right, but at the moment, I think just watching the 62 to 79% retracement area, what happens in here? That's where we're heading towards at the moment. Is that where we start to falter for the week to continue the move down? Of course, at the moment, it's getting some support there on that weekly support level. So you don't want to be selling anywhere near that weekly support level because quite clearly support's coming in. But as it trades up within the range of last week, does it start to falter between the 62 or the 79% area? That's what I'll be watching there at the moment. All right. All right, any questions? Slav, I know I saw you on there before. We were talking about oil. This is how I drew it up when you last asked me to have a look at oil. Quite clearly, we're having a little bit of failure there, maybe a lower top forming there. I don't know whether you're still watching that, but maybe there's a lower top forming there on oil to trade back down the range. Move to a lower bottom. We're probably getting almost a 62% retracement up here. Not quite yet, but almost. Back into this resistance area that I've got drawn in. All right, if you like oil, worth watching that. You're already in oil, eh? So you're telling me you're still in oil, so you must already be in it. All right, so it's been a nice turnaround there from that area. All right. Or let's just quickly click through a few of these pairs again. Pound dollar may be coming up for another test of that resistance area. I will just monitor that little fib, that little range that we've been forming to that push down. Does it come up to 79% level? That's at 127.93. That could form a little mini head and shoulder pattern. There's a little left shoulder, maybe head, and we could come up to there to turn over. Euro dollar. Very heavy selling there on the 50-minute chart from 109.29. That could actually be the high of the week. Aussie still pushing up. So watch that 64.58 area up there. All right, still managing to push up. So that Aussie yen might just be pushing back up towards the 94 level. It's just almost touching that little 79% retracement that I put in there. You can actually use, however you want to monitor that range, you could actually use that range as well. Just get your 79% level a little bit higher up. All right, any questions? I'll just give you the link for the next webinar if you want to come and have a look at the quick start strategy. I'll just give you the link for that. There we go. So for those maybe coming in late before, not much news coming out this week. We do have tomorrow the manufacturing and services PMI data from the Eurozone in the UK and the US tomorrow. And then the event that the market's probably looking towards is the Jackson Hole Symposium. We got the Fed talking at 5 minutes past midnight on Saturday morning. And ECB President Lagarde speaking at 5 in the morning too. And notably this month, we don't have an interest rate decision from either the Fed or the Eurozone. So we don't have those two very stimulating news events to come out this month. So we're a month away at the moment from the next FOMC statement, probably 3 weeks away at least from the Eurozone interest rate decision. So I'm just waiting for a little bit more data. I think we've got the job figures coming out next week from the US. We do on Friday the 1st. All right. So it's always worth knowing a good week in advance what's coming out, so you can understand why maybe the market is a little bit slow. Okay. Zoe asked me, do I think the leg up is done on the pound? Well, at the moment, until it breaks above, where are we, the pound? Until it breaks above that resistance level at 127.97, it's in a range. So at the moment, it's telling you it's in a range. You can see this is starting to break down on the 15-minute chart. On your 4-hour chart, you've got a bit of a rejection there. You see all these 4-hour highs to the left. It's hit today this area here. Broken support becomes resistance there, where we rejected after the very good US GDP figures. And sellers are coming back in at that level at the moment. This is almost forming a little bit of a left shoulder. Head is at a right shoulder there. All right, we are getting very good support down here at 126.79. So this could go either way, but I mean, at the moment, that is your resistance level. So if the market doesn't trade through strongly, maybe we have to say it may want to move back down to weekly support in the short term. You'll have to monitor. I know you said before that you're in this trade, so you're going to have to come up with some way of fashioning how to maybe trail your stop, just below this area here on the 4-hour chart. If you're looking to try to trade this for a break, lock a good amount of profit in, and then you just got your fingers crossed, can it break? At the moment, right now, it's looking maybe like it's wanting to stall, but you'll have to watch. All right. I mean, if this low here, which is a lower low on the 15-minute chart, if we do come up, further have a go there and it holds, if price breaks below then here today, that would be enough to convince you, I'm sure, that this isn't going to move through that area today. All right. If we come up here, hold, breaking below there, it's probably telling you that, it's going to move back down. So, so it's difficult when you're long waiting for an area to break and, it's not breaking at the moment. So you'll have to watch, make a decision. All right, Azu. Okay, everybody, I'm going to wind things up there. I've got another webinar coming up shortly. If you want to join me, I'll put the link in. Myself and Nathan will be taking you through that one. It's much more of a basic webinar about understanding trends and then having a strategy on the 1-hour chart, trading in line with the day chart trend. If you need a quick start strategy to get you going, if you're new to trading, and then maybe that's for you. So if you want to join us, that starts at 8. Thanks, everybody. I'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.